Hello, hello, hello. And today, all the way from South Africa, Cape Town, South Africa, we have the fabulous, the magical Mike Handcock. Mike, I am so happy to have you today. How are you?
I am great, Claire, and thank you for what a wonderful introduction you made.
Oh, it's
People are going to
such a
be going, how
pleasure.
do I have the energy that she does?
Well, it's even more of a pleasure because we met not just virtually, but actually we met for real this year. We body, chair, we hugged, we even had lunch together, which was really fabulous when we were in Paris. So I feel, I feel very close, and I know you two have been a great inspiration for me as well. So thank you very much for everything that you do. And so this is why, really wanted to have you on this little series.
Great. Happy to be here. Really happy to serve.
Okay, Mike, so you are a big speaker, right? You've been doing that for a long time. How long have you been doing that? Can you tell us that first story? How did you get in
Well,
there?
20 years this year, I think it is, to be honest with you. And my first
Wow.
real keynote was when I still had a job, and I was actually giving a keynote at the industry conference. And that's when I
Okay.
went, this is really good. I like this. This is a buzz, 600 people there. And then actually somebody in the audience who worked for me at the time, but I never put two and two together, suggested that he was going to refer me to a conference in Singapore. So he did. I spoke to the conference organizer and I was invited to Singapore to go and speak. And whilst there was no fee, they paid all my expenses and they did allow me to sell something. I just brought out my first book, and that was it was an industry-based book, but that had come out in 2001, I think, or late 2001. So I flew to Singapore, went to speak there, expecting maybe 5,000-6,000 people, and there were 18,000 people in the room. And so, because of that talk, I had about 3 years worth of work in Asia that came out of that. I was everywhere from Macau to Cebu to the Cameron Highlands to you name it, I was there. And that really launched my speaking career. And I left corporate basically later that year in 2003.
What was the topic? What's your because you've changed and you're bringing a lot of holistic approach now in what you talk about. But when you first started, what was your topic?
Sales and marketing. I was a general manager, sales and marketing of a financial services company. So that was my bag. That's what my book was on. But
Right.
in 2005, I shifted that because I was bored with it. And I shifted to really personal and professional development. And that sort of morphed into helping entrepreneurs and conscious leaders. And that's what I've been doing ever since.
Right. So really, I mean, I was going to ask questions about strategies to market yourself, but you were already an expert in marketing yourself, right? Because I think it's probably one of the things that speakers are have finding it hard. It's how do you promote yourself as a speaker? They may be fantastic when they're on stage, but how do you get to that stage? It's a big there's a lot of work to be done in terms of marketing and branding, right? Because we are the brand as such.
Well, the industry statistics from this year state that only 4.5 out of 10 speakers do any marketing at all, apart from waiting for the phone to ring. That's
Wow.
the industry-wide report, comes from Speaker Flow. And out of those, 30% of them, their only source of marketing is LinkedIn. So 3 in 10 use LinkedIn, 1.5 do something else, and the rest wait for the phone to ring. So speakers can't
Wow.
complain because the average income of a speaker is 75,000 US, and that's not bad for doing no marketing apart from waiting for the phone to ring and hoping that somebody's going to refer you. And but then when you look at the other way, when you take tax out, when you take out business expenses, you're probably earning what in many countries somebody giving parking tickets is earning. So we need to lift our game as speakers and do a bit more marketing. Probably three things that people can do quite simply. And that is, number one is build a LinkedIn profile that actually doesn't have speakers as friends, but has your potential clients as friends. So for instance, Lundy, my wife, has got 27,000 people on LinkedIn, but 80% of them are actually target prospects out of that 27,000. So it gives us a big pool. I'm about 20,000, but probably about 15,000 are target prospects. So that would be number one. Number two, have some sort of converting website that doesn't just say, hey, I'm a great speaker, but actually solves the problem and gets people there. And number three is at least go and network, and at least realize that every time you're on a stage, your stage is your biggest selling point. And if you're not getting extra work after you've spoken, then you're not marketing properly. So that probably wraps it up in the time we've got.
Okay. That's it. Let's close it up now.
Exactly.
I've got a few more extra questions, because there's one thing doing those three things and you're getting paid for it, and you're starting off and you get your first kind of couple of gigs at, certain levels, and you start moving your prices up a bit because, you're kind of thinking, okay, I feel I'm moving forward. But now this series is all about becoming a $10,000 keynote speaker, right? So how do you move from being a rising speakers to that next level, to that kind of, right, okay, now we're talking seriously. What does it take? How do we fill those gaps?
So going back to that first speech in Singapore, whilst I didn't get paid a keynote fee to speak at that event, I was allowed to sell my book. And I actually took a whole bunch of books there, and I ran out of them, and I'd made $8,000 something in cash. And I went, this is a good business. Wow. So I realized right then and there that part of the key to making money as a speaker is productization. That was 20 years ago that I realized that. And my biggest day on stage, I've had numerous $100,000 days on stage. My biggest day was $360,000 in an hour and a half. So, wow. So keynoting is, speakers get it, I don't think, right, because they look at it and go, I need to make a keynote fee. I've got to get a $10,000 or a $20,000 keynote fee, and then I'm a great speaker. I think it's very client dependent. Some clients can't afford that, and they'll never hire a $10,000 speaker, but you have opportunities to position different things. And I'm not talking about run to the back of the room sales or anything like that. I'm not a believer in that at all. But I think those days have long since passed, more than 15 years ago. But back in 2008, when we had the global financial crisis and there was a lot of pressure on speaker fees, I started saying to people who were booking me, well, look, they'd say, oh, my budget's only this. I'd say, well, I take that because providing I can position something that I do from your stage. And they just say, yes, these are corporate clients. And it can become simple. I mentioned to you before, Alison Mooney off air. We were talking about great speakers around the world. She's a great friend of mine from New Zealand. She brought out a book many years ago and she wasn't selling many of them. And I said to her, Ellie, when you get on stage at one point in your speech, just pick up your book like this, flick through it and say, it's in chapter 5 of my book right here. That's right. Nice. Let me just read the paragraph. The paragraph says this, and this. Well, by the way, I do have a few books here if anybody wants them afterwards. See me out the back. She sold nice. 30,000 books in the next 2 years.
Wow.
Now, unfortunately, it was a published book by Random House, so she was making probably $3 to $4 a copy, but still she made a lot of money, a lot of extra money out of it, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Coming to your question of building your fees, I used to hear in the speaking fraternity when I was a new speaker, just go and double your fee. And I thought, oh, nobody's going to pay me, like my fee was, I think, $3,000. Nobody's going to pay me $6,000. That's not going to happen. And then one day I just said, oh, let me just try this. And then I pitched 6,000. The person didn't even blink. So
do you think we've got a bit of imposter syndromes when it comes to our fees?
Yeah, Lundy and I have a great feeling about imposter syndrome. When somebody tells me they've got imposter syndrome, we say to them, we totally understand. You need to send us all of your money and all of your assets because you don't deserve them. That soon fixes the imposter syndrome. But yeah, to all jokes aside, Claire, I think people just don't value themselves. And this is why people sit in jobs as well. You know, they would rather get the boss paying them $1,000 a week and just get that, not even caring that the boss is probably making $4,000 a week from having them in that job. So I always looked at it and went, well, if the boss can make $4,000 a week having me in that job, why don't I just go and do it myself and get the $4,000? And that's a simple fact, but I mean, it comes down to confidence. And once you've done a few of those and pitched yourself at higher fees, you realize that when you value yourself highly, other people value yourself highly. And I want to use an analogy. A friend of mine sold his PR company and basically retired and became an artist at 42 or 43. He's a really good artist. I went to his first exhibition. I walked in expecting it to be a nice art exhibition, champagne, the whole box and dice. And his cheapest painting at the exhibition was $4,000. And I said to him, Tony, you just started painting 6 months ago. How come you are charging like $4,000 minimum for a painting? He said, because I'm only ever going to paint that once.
Wow.
He sold 4 paintings that night and made $24,000.
Wow.
And he still sells paintings for a lot of money these days. So I learned from him that people don't have any idea of value. That same guy, Tony, taught me one day. I was when he still had the PR company, I was having breakfast with him and his business partner. And one of their clients rang through and asked them to pitch a deal. And he said, I'll get back to you in 5 minutes with the price. And he said to us, the business partner and myself, he said, write a number on a piece of paper. This is who it is and this is what they want us to do. And so we all wrote numbers on a piece of paper. We put them in a coffee cup. He rang the client back. He said, yep, I've got the price. He now I've done that. The price is, he put his hand in the cup and read out the price. The price was his price, $70,000. My price was $20,000. His business partner's was $30,000.
Wow.
So the client said, yeah, great. That sounds fantastic. When can you start?
Wow.
Now, I use this same philosophy that I learned off Tony in coaching one of the past Global Speaking Federation presidents. And it was a number of years ago, 2018. I still remember where I was when I had this call. And he wanted to pitch a series of road shows that he was doing for a client, and he didn't know how to price them. So I said, have your wife write down a number. I'll write down a number. Lundy will write down a number. You write down a number. He picked my number at the end. That's the one that came out of the drawer. It was the same figure from memory, $70,000. His figure was $30,000 or $35,000. His wife's figure was 10. Lucky he didn't pick that one. And he pitched it, and the client said, that's great. Send me through the contract and let's do it.
Wow, wow, wow. Yes.
So everything exists in our mind, Claire.
I mean, there still is quite a lot of, I mean, I'm finding it here in the UAE, and I think it still happens in other countries as well, where there's a lot of events who are saying, well, we have no budgets. And, you know, this is probably one of the biggest challenge in terms of perhaps how do we get over that? So you're saying, yes, looking at all the options, but I know you have an answer for this when somebody asks you to do a free gig.
Well,
What's your
it's not even
gig
free
answer?
gigs. It's not even that's the answer. You know, is when people want to reduce the fee. But let me deal with the free gig and really low fees firstly, and then I'll say go into this one. So I would ask the person, if the person says we don't have a budget for the event, I'd say, where is the event? And then they would probably tell me some reasonably priced hotel, right? It's costing a bit. I'd say, are you feeding people? They'll generally say yes, okay? And then I'll say to them, are you getting banners, et cetera, for your event? They'll generally say yes. So I'll say to them, so what you're telling me is that giving people a bunch of food that they probably won't enjoy, putting them in a room that will be unmemorable and filling it full of crap that they're not going to look at is more important than the message you want them to learn. Is that what you're telling me? Is that how you would like to be remembered? by people saying, oh, conference was all right. At least the food was half decent. Is that how you want to be remembered? Because it's your reputation.
Mm,
And they'd say, well, no, of course not. And I'd say, okay, well, your priorities are wrong. So can I suggest you give them a snack lunch? What's your lunch costing them? Now, let's just make up a number. And if they say the lunch is $20 and we've got 200 people coming, I go, okay, that's $4,000. So let's get a $10 lunch going, and that way you can pay me $2,000. And I'll make your conference memorable.
Yeah, definitely.
This
I've
is one
started
also
doing that.
I've taught an MC, so I know you do a lot of MCing. So the MC comeback for that is to when they say, well, we don't have a budget for an MC, and we're going to get somebody from in-house to do it. I would say to them, so you're bringing your 100 top salespeople to this 5-star hotel. You're spending all this money. You're going to put on this amazing lunch, dinner, awards, the whole box and dice. And the one person that can hold this conference together and can fix something and will, if it goes wrong, and can set the tone for the whole event, you're just going to use somebody from inside because your reputation doesn't matter to you enough. And if it goes wrong, they're not going to look at that person and go, he was stupid. They're going to look at you and go, who put that idiot on stage to MC this event? Is that how you want to be remembered? Are you prepared to take that risk with your reputation? That's the way to approach this, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. What a way of turning it around on the head as well, because then, you make them think of that, that reputation, that risk factor, right? It's all about risk when you're putting an event together with the
100%.
sponsors and all that kind of things.
100% correct. And so what they're saying when they say we don't have budget for you is they're saying we don't value you. So my response is you don't value your reputation. It's not me you're not valuing, it's your reputation you don't value. And when they realize, oh crap, ownership, I do value my reputation, then everything changes. So I know you wanted me to show you this, but when when somebody says that they want to bring the fee down, I have a way of dealing with that, and I literally say to them, I'm really sorry, I just can't do it for the price that you're suggesting, but I do have the exact speaker that you need at the price you're suggesting. Would you like a referral? And they inevitably say, well, that's a shame, but yes. And then I say to them, okay, no problem. There he is.
I love
and
him.
I bring up my
I love him.
stupid monkey picture on my phone and I show them and they get it. You pay peanuts, you get monkeys. And strangely enough, people think when you do it in good humor, people have the exact reaction that you just had. They just burst out laughing. They literally start laughing. I've had like a board of directors of an accountancy firm burst out laughing. I said, come on, guys, you're all driving Mercedes. They're all sitting in the car park. You're gonna put a monkey on the stage.
Yeah, absolutely. No, definitely. So you're a keynote speaker, but you also coach a lot of speakers to, improve and what do you think, do speaker need to improve continuously and learn, because it's a skill, right? Every time we learn something, we're making our speech better, we're making the engagement better. Do you think there's this thing that we need to continuously learn?
Yeah, I believe that everybody does need to continuously learn. There's no doubt about that. And I think that it helps you build your career. I think it helps you build your platform with your potential clients and all of that sort of thing. But, there are a lot of not necessarily great speakers that have had $1 million speaking careers. So more important than, and they've given the same speech that they give since 1971, right? So more important than working on your speech is actually working on your positioning. Positioning,
okay.
branding, marketing is what will make you money in speaking, not the quality of your speech. Of course, you have to be good. That's a given, okay? So if you're not good, you have to improve. Of course, you have to have new and innovative content every year, really. and that's a given. That's just what the market expects now. Of course, you have to be easy to deal with. Of course, you have to be an innovator. Of course, you have to be able to take people on a journey. They're givens. So if you're not there yet, you have work to do. But what's going to make you real money is your ability to position yourself, your ability to upsell clients, your ability to get a deal, your ability to sell your fees, your ability to productize off the back of your speaking, et cetera, et cetera. That's how you make real money in this business.
Yeah, I see. Yeah. So that comes, I mean, that's probably, I think you probably said quite a few things here actually, which were really powerful in terms of, you said that they're givers, but are they? Are they givers for everybody? Oh, I guess they should be givers at that level, right? If you're, if you're at a certain level, all those things are givers. What would you suggest, or three kind of top things that you would suggest, takeaways for somebody who wants, like me, who wants to move up to the next level? Like, what's the three things that you think will make a difference on me moving the needle?
Okay, first one would be packaging your price.
Okay.
So what does that mean? So for instance, when we do a keynote for a corporation, included in our price is a survey before the event. Included in our price is content after the event. So we'll often set up a learning management system just for what we're talking about at that event, make it available to the people who are in the audience of that event for up to a year. And sometimes we give them bunches of other things as well. So, and then you can upsell them. For instance, if you're self-publishing a book and it's right on topic with what you're going to be talking about, let's just say your talk is how the 13 fatal errors leaders make, and you've written a book called The 13 Fatal Errors Make, that is a book written by Steve W. Brown. So let's just say your name's Steve W. Brown and you wrote that, right? Then what and it costs you $2 to print that book. Then you say, listen, by the way, I'm really happy to give every attendee here a copy of the book for $4 extra. So that way, if you've got a couple of hundred people, that's $400 extra. If you're doing 100 talks a year, that's $40,000. So,
right, yeah.
So, sometimes magic of marginal improvement on everything. So that would be number one, would be packaging. So people are much more aligned with spending $10,000 on a speaker if the speaker's not just going to walk in, not talk to anybody, get up on stage, deliver their razzmatazz keynote, walk off, get in their plane and fly off to their next gig if there's not other things. So packaging will really help. That would be the first one. Number two, positioning. Get awards, get certified, become part of associations, use social media to tell people what you're doing. Certain speakers I see, they're doing really well. They're posting, I'm on a train here, I'm just about to walk into this event here. Don't think that their clients don't see that. They go, these people are busy. They're out there, they're doing it, right? All the time. So positioning, bringing out a new book, putting emphasis on your new book. We had a book come out on Monday. It's been Amazon #1 bestseller on release. And
what is it called?
It's called The Circle of Excellence, which is our brand. And it's actually features a lot of our clients in there. But, we've been positioning that. I mean, people who are following us on LinkedIn and stuff like that must be sick of us this week, because we're constantly saying, we just beat this book that's got 14,000 reviews. We're #1 in the coaching and mentoring space. We're this, we're that, So we're featuring people in the book. We're doing all sorts of things. That's all positioning. So that would be number two. And number three would be to productize.
Okay. Right.
So
what else?
At the very least, speakers should have books, online courses that they can package together, a series of training systems, consultancy that they can offer, and a retreat. That would be sort of baseline for any speaker who's really serious about their trade.
Interesting. Yeah. So I think the productize is an interesting one because you kind of we see ourselves as our services. So, moving the services into a product or shifting that mindset that there's product in what we do is what is a key here to be able to sell something else behind in the back of the speaking, really.
Yeah, well, it's having something that people want to interact with you. If they like you, they want more of you. So that means that you've got to give them more. For instance, when we met in Paris, that as part of that trip, we were doing a mastermind event in Santorini where we had clients flying in from all around the world. I literally mentioned that on stage where I had 3 people from that event come to me and say, "What's the price? I want to come." And one of them booked and came.
Wow, fantastic.
And she added
Brilliant.
amazing value and is a really lovely person, and we really got to know her well. And she was in Santorini with us literally a month after I mentioned that from stage. So if you look at that, that's a free event. I sold nothing at the event. I mentioned that from stage, and we made money out of it and got a client from it. And now, in fact, we're looking at a strategic alliance with her on a couple of things.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, I know very well who you're talking about, and it was gorgeous to see you all in Santorini. Actually, it was really kind of next time I'll jump in as well. Next time for sure.
Great.
Well,
We're doing it
Mike,
again next year.
oh, here we go. This is it. And next year we're all going to Bali as well. So Bali is a big one, right? Next year we're all going to be.
Bali, we have the
Is it?
Global Speaking Summit that we're chairing, and it is sold out.
It is. I think you'll reopen a few seats, but they'd gone up before we were all reopening it, right?
Yeah, we reopened a few seats because we managed to extend and rework the venue. And we're literally at the moment, we're oversold slightly. So in the next 24 hours, you'll probably see the site close down. But, we know that not everybody who's bought a ticket will be able to make it because it is a year out. So, but again, marketing.
Yeah, marketing, and again, it's this association as well. So the Virtual Speaker Association is part of the Global Federation of Speakers, and it's all about bringing people together. And as a speaker, get to know your association, and if you don't have a local one, join a VSAI because that's like global. But again, it's that connectivity, that learning from each other, that kind of getting to know people and referral within the community, right? That's really important.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Fantastic. Well, Mike, I really, really appreciate that you've taken the time to come and chat to us today, and we'll continue. So, new book on Amazon just released this week, so go and check it out, right? And where, if people wants to connect with you, is LinkedIn the best place for you to
LinkedIn's the best
connect?
place to connect with me, Mike Handcock with a D. Just have a look in the Zoom call and you'll see how it's spelt. Yeah, come and connect.
Fabulous, fabulous. Well, thank you very much for everything, and I'll speak to you very soon.
Thanks, Claire.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye for now.